Welcome to another special Majestic Mind Matters University Mandatory Mental Liberation Series message, produced by Baba Jelani Bumani Dembe and narrated by Queen Magical Melanin. Like, subscribe, and share this message with all the people you care about. I'm Queen Magical Melanin. Today, we discuss the profound perspective shared by Baba Jelani Bumani Dembe of Majestic Mind Matters University in our Mandatory Mental Liberation Series. The focus is the education that your melanin-rich child gets, solving any of our problems or just theirs? European education has been pivotal in shaping societies around the world, but it is crucial to recognize that this system was designed with the intention of perpetuating systems of oppression and reinforcing white supremacy. From its inception, European education was created to uphold and promote the values, beliefs, and systems of the seemingly dominant white culture. As a result, melanin-rich people have often been marginalized and oppressed within these educational institutions. Historically, European education was used as a tool to assimilate melanin-rich people into the dominant white culture, erasing our unique identities and cultures. Through curricula that centered on white history, literature, and perspectives, melanin-rich children were taught to view themselves as inferior and to strive to emulate and conform to white standards. This perpetuated the idea that white culture and people were superior, while melanin-rich individuals were seen as less than or unworthy. European education was historically designed to perpetuate and reinforce systems of colonialism, imperialism, and white supremacy. It was created to uphold the power and dominance of European countries over colonized people and territories to justify the exploitation and subjugation of our melanin-rich, indigenous populations. European educational systems promote a Eurocentric view of history, culture, and knowledge, marginalizing and erasing the contributions and perspectives of non-European people. Additionally, it often perpetuated class divisions and social hierarchies, with so-called elite European institutions providing education primarily for the wealthy and privileged, while denying access to marginalized and oppressed groups. European education has a long history of being used as a tool to perpetuate systems of oppression and reinforce white supremacy. From the colonial era to the present day, education has been used to maintain power imbalances and uphold racial hierarchies. It is crucial to recognize this history and work towards dismantling these systems of oppression, rather than continually perpetuating and normalizing them. The foundations of European education can be traced back to colonial times, when European powers used education as a means of control and domination over our colonized people. Colonizers established schools and educational systems that promoted their own culture, language, and values, while marginalizing and erasing the cultures and histories of our melanin-rich indigenous people. This legacy of colonial education continues to shape their educational systems today, with Eurocentric curricula and perspectives still dominating their classrooms. One of the key ways in which European education perpetuates systems of oppression is through the reinforcement of white supremacy. From a young age, melanin-rich students are taught a whitewashed version of history that glorifies European conquest and colonization, while downplaying or erasing the contributions and experiences of our people. This skewed version of history perpetuates the myth of white superiority and reinforces the idea that white people are inherently more deserving of power and privilege. In addition to promoting white supremacy, European education also perpetuates systems of oppression through its treatment of marginalized communities. Students of color, particularly those who are melanin-rich, are often subjected to discrimination, stereotyping, and unequal treatment within their educational systems. We are more likely to be disciplined harshly, placed in special education classes, or denied access to advanced coursework. This unequal treatment not only harms melanin-rich students academically and emotionally, but also reinforces the idea that we are inherently inferior to the white peers. Bragging about sending your melanin-rich children to European institutions that were historically designed to uphold white supremacy only serves to perpetuate and normalize these harmful systems. By endorsing and supporting institutions that have a long history of marginalizing and oppressing our melanin-rich people, parents are sending a message that they value conformity and assimilation over empowerment and justice. This not only harms our melanin-rich children students, but also perpetuates inequality and injustice on a larger scale. Instead of celebrating European education, our melanin-rich parents should focus on supporting historically Black colleges and universities, HBCUs, that empower our children to challenge and dismantle oppressive structures. HBCUs have long been at the forefront of the fight for racial justice and equity, providing melanin students with a supportive and empowering learning environment that centers around melanin-rich culture and history. By supporting HBCUs, parents can create a more just and equitable society for our children, one that values and uplifts their melanin-rich voices and experiences. It is important to recognize that European education was designed as a tool to perpetuate systems of oppression and reinforce white supremacy. By sending our melanin-rich children to institutions that have a history of marginalizing and oppressing melanin-rich people, parents are perpetuating and normalizing harmful systems that harm our children and society as a whole. Instead, melanin-rich parents should focus on supporting HBCUs that empower our children to challenge and dismantle oppressive structures, creating a more just and equitable society for us as well. European education has been instrumental in reinforcing white supremacy and maintaining existing power structures. By promoting Eurocentric ideals, values, and perspectives, educational institutions have upheld a system where white individuals hold power and privilege, while melanin-rich individuals are systematically oppressed and covertly disadvantaged. This has resulted in disparities in access to quality education, employment opportunities, and overall societal success for our melanin-rich culture. Bragging about sending melanin-rich children to European educational institutions that were historically designed to uphold white supremacy only serves to perpetuate and normalize these harmful systems. By supporting and promoting these institutions, we are inadvertently endorsing and perpetuating inequality and injustice towards our melanin-rich youth. Instead, melanin-rich culture parents should focus on supporting historically Black colleges and universities, HBCUs, that empower our melanin-rich children to challenge and dismantle oppressive structures, rather than reinforce them. HBCUs have played a crucial role in providing melanin-rich individuals with opportunities for education, empowerment, and success. These institutions have been instrumental in fostering a sense of pride, identity, and community among our melanin-rich students, while also providing a platform for activism, advocacy, and social change. By supporting HBCUs, our melanin-rich culture parents can ensure that our children receive an education that celebrates our heritage and empowers them to challenge injustice and equips them with the necessary tools to create a more just and equitable society for us as well. Celebrating education that promotes our melanin-rich culture, equity, and social justice is essential in creating a more inclusive and equitable society for us as well. By valuing and prioritizing educational institutions that are committed to empowering melanin-rich individuals and dismantling oppressive structures, we can work towards creating a society that is truly equitable, just and fair for us as well. Melanin-rich culture parents need to know how important it is to understand the impact of historical oppression on our melanin-rich communities and the role that education has played in perpetuating systems of white supremacy. Sending our children to European educational institutions that were historically designed to uphold white supremacy only serves to perpetuate and normalize these harmful systems. By supporting and promoting these institutions, we are inadvertently endorsing and perpetuating inequality and injustice towards our melanin-rich youth. One of the first steps in addressing this issue is recognizing the lack of knowledge and awareness of our own glorious history. Many melanin-rich culture parents may not fully understand the historical context of European educational institutions and their role in perpetuating systems of oppression towards our melanin culture. These institutions were built on the foundation of colonialism and imperialism, which aims to erase and devalue our melanin-rich culture and identities. By sending our children to these institutions, we are essentially sending them into environments that were not designed to uplift and empower them, but rather to continually perpetuate systems of white supremacy. Furthermore, by bragging about sending our children to these institutions, we are sending a message to our melanin-rich community that success and achievement are only attainable through assimilation into so-called white dominant spaces. This reinforces harmful beliefs about superiority and inferiority based on our melanin-rich skin color, and reinforces the idea that melanin-rich individuals must conform to white standards in order to succeed. This perpetuates a cycle of internalized racism and self-hatred within our melanin-rich communities, as our melanin-rich children are taught that their worth is contingent upon their ability to conform to white norms and standards. In contrast, supporting and promoting historically black colleges and universities, HBCUs, will empower our melanin-rich children to challenge and dismantle oppressive structures, rather than reinforce them. HBCUs were established as a response to the exclusion and discrimination faced by melanin-rich individuals in so-called higher education. While HBCUs provide a more supportive and nurturing environment for melanin-rich students to thrive academically, socially, and most importantly, culturally. By supporting HBCUs, we are investing in institutions that prioritize the needs and experiences of melanin-rich students, providing them with the tools and resources to succeed in a society that often marginalizes and discriminates against us. Additionally, HBCUs play a crucial role in preserving and honoring the rich history and heritage of melanin-rich culture. These institutions serve as centers of cultural pride and celebration, promoting a sense of belonging and community among our melanin-rich students and faculty. By supporting HBCUs, we are contributing to the preservation and continuation of our cultural legacy, ensuring that future generations of melanin-rich individuals have access to the knowledge and resources that will empower them to challenge and disrupt all systems of oppression, including religion. As melanin-rich culture parents, it is imperative that we educate ourselves about the history of oppression and discrimination faced by our melanin-rich communities and consider the implications of the educational institutions we choose to support. By sending our children to European institutions that uphold white supremacy, we are perpetuating harmful systems of inequality and injustice. Instead, we should prioritize supporting HBCUs that empower our melanin-rich children to challenge and dismantle oppressive structures, while celebrating and preserving our melanin-rich cultural heritage. Only by taking these steps can we truly empower our children to thrive and succeed in a society that too often seeks to diminish our worth and potential. In conclusion, it is important to recognize that European education was designed as a tool to perpetuate systems of oppression and reinforce white supremacy. By supporting and promoting institutions that uphold these harmful systems, we are perpetuating inequality and injustice towards our melanin-rich youth. Instead, we should focus on supporting HBCUs that empower melanin-rich individuals to challenge and dismantle oppressive structures, creating a more just and equitable society for us as well. I'm Queen Magical Melanin. We trust that you have expanded your understanding through the insights shared by Baba Jelani Bomani Dembe of Majestic Mind Matters University in our mandatory mental liberation series. Specifically in this discussion titled, "Is the education that your melanin-rich child gets solving any of our problems or just theirs?" Remember, it is essential to honor the ancestors. We have a unique connection to the ancestors. They endured struggles, preserved culture, and passed down invaluable wisdom through generations. By honoring the ancestors, we pay tribute to our roots and draw great strength and inspiration from the resilience and legacy that have paved the way for our present and future. Ancestral reverence is a powerful way for us to uphold our identity, heritage, and cultural legacy. Strive for self-awareness with excellence and treat yourself kindly and live a fulfilling life.